Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Just to introduce myself, my name is Tony Bella. And then I have my co-hosts, Bosse Bella.
Hi.
I'm sure you'll probably recognize the surname and probably put two and two together and make 10. Yeah. And then we have Joe Edgell. And Joe Edgell.
Edgar,
So
sorry,
what I'm gonna do
EDGAL,
is
Edgar.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So what I'm gonna do, thank you, Joe. What
yeah,
I'm gonna do is first I just want to first ask a little bit about my guests in terms of a little bit about their background and how they came about being the specialists or experts. Yeah. So I will start with
no
Joe.
problem.
Joe,
Right. My name is Joseph Edgar, as Tony introduced. I've been in IT for about 35 years, been a teacher, trainer, IT support, and software development. Um, I've taught at higher education and further education. Um, um, and what I'm doing now is a bit of contracting, data analysis, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. And now what I'm doing is developing on projects in order to take advantage of the new technology that digital technology that is in existence at the present moment. I've done some few data cleaning, data analysis, data visualizations such as Power BI and Tableau and spreadsheets and things like that in terms of data analysis and cybersecurity. I'm trying to write a book at the moment on social engineering, and that's really basically about me.
wow. Wow, that's a mouthful. I'm sure we're going to hear more in terms of how all this comes together.
Yeah.
So Joe and I, by the way, everybody, we've known each other since university. And Joe, did you study an IT degree?
Yeah, I did a master's in computer and information systems
Right,
over centuries ago, 1866. So it's a bit of a
right,
joke there.
yeah,
Yeah, but when you think about it, it's not as relevant as it is now.
yeah.
Your experience is far more important now than your degree or your master's. My first degree is in accounting and finance,
Mhm.
and it's nothing to do with what I'm doing at the moment.
Great, 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 great. And we have Bosse Bella. Yeah,
Hi. Hi, everyone.
hi. So over to you. Just tell us a little bit about, your background and
Sure.
IT.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bosse, and I've been working in IT for over 20 years. And I've got a degree in science that led me into IT. And I started off as a programmer, analyst programmer, and went into application development. And then in the last 10 years, I've tend to have been working in an organization where my main focus has been on data. Data analysis, data migrations, data mapping, all that kind of thing. So I would rather say I'm a data specialist because throughout my whole career, it's all been about data, but my main focus now is all about data and I'm working on data migration projects. In a nutshell, that's me. I don't know if there's anything else you think I should actually add to.
How did you get, if you don't mind, because we may have people listening to this call later on and they might want to know, okay, how does somebody like yourself
Yeah,
get into how did you get into the field of
sure.
IT?
So as I said before, I did a degree in biomedical science, and then I got a job. Science and IT are very linked anyway because you're dealing with a lot of data, and you're using lots of spreadsheets and doing lots of calculations or formulas. So in a way, you could see how you could sort of like pivot into IT from even from any background, but for science, that's there's a little bit of a correlation there anyway. So I got a job in a lab, and I realized I didn't like lab work. I found it too intensive and not really what I wanted to do. So I then did a course in programming and databases, and I realized I had a love for development and programming. And then naturally, I then got my work experience and then went into IT. So that's how I got into IT. And then it was just like, all the way up sailing through, through my career. So yeah, that's how I got into IT.
Okay, great. Great. That's very useful. And those of you will probably know me anyway, but I'm Tony Bella. As I say, from the Game Challenger. And some of the people will ask the Game Challenger, what's it about? Well, sometimes people say life is a game. And are you going to challenge the game, or are you just going to be in the game? Challenging the game for me is all about looking at what everyone is doing or what people are doing, and then trying to see why are we doing it, yeah, rather than just following the leader. So in terms of my background, I've done a degree in civil engineering, did a master's in computing and engineering combined together, and obviously went on to that path of IT, written a number of systems for companies, corporate companies, trained quite a few financial banks and institutes, and also trained people also to get into those kind of fields too. Obviously been to Nigeria, done direct sales, as well as built a big business in terms of sales and marketing. So I've been all around the block, as they say. I'm still going around the block too. Yeah. So for me, now I'm kind of like really pushing forward on decentralization. I'm passionate, very passionate about decentralization. I'm passionate about how AI is going to also affect decentralization or have impact. So I say effect or impact on decentralization. In fact, I'm passionate about how AI is going to have impact on everything to do with IT. I'm old enough to witness the first IT impact on the Industrial Revolution, and now I see another one, a new one coming our way. So really, what we're looking at is something very powerful. I think Joe remember and Bosse remember. I had a training school also, and we trained people there to create forms. And at that time, we just create forms, and as soon as you can create a form, at that time, I can't remember the year now. It might have been 2000 or 1980 something or whatever, 1990 something. But as soon as you could create a form,
1992.
1992, okay. As soon as you can create a form, then what happened is you had a job which was for £1,000 a week. Yeah. And in some case, people were making £500 a day.
Yeah.
Just to create. But that's because they got in early. That's because they understood it early. Obviously, now you won't get anything like that now. In fact, now the AI will do it for you. So that's already the impact of that. Now we're looking at the emerging technologies. Now this is going to be going at the speed of light. So I want to just say we're looking at the emerging technologies, and one of my passions also is our community, and this is why we're on this call today. Emerging technologies is everyone's talking about emerging technologies, but is our community ready for it right now? Is it ready? And if it's not ready, how can we get it ready? How can we make sure that we're ready? Because it's going to hit us very hard. It's going to hit us very hard. And usually we get hit while we're sleeping. I don't mind getting hit while I'm awake, but I do mind getting hit while I'm sleeping because I'll be unconscious. Okay, so Bosse, just let's start talking. So what's your view in terms of this what's your take on this emerging technology, and how are you going to come, I should say, what side are you coming on this?
Yeah, so I think you're asking the right question in terms of like are people ready? How do we get people ready in the community? You know, what should they be doing? And I think there's a lot of hype out there about AI, and it can be quite scary because there's just so much information. But I would say that everybody, if you're interested in AI and technology, start to skill up, start to go and, you know, get as much information on using YouTube, using all the different platforms, and go and understand how AI is impacting your industry, your field, and understand what you need to learn. And there's so many different skills out there within AI that you can start learning and taking, so you're ready for the revolution and you can be part of it, because our job structures are changing rapidly. I don't think I'll have the same job in a year's time. I think it's going to change. So what am I doing? I'm understanding how to use AI within my role. And you need to kind of like demonstrate that now. It's not a case of just like, you know, waiting. No, if I'm asked to do something, I also find out from Copilot, oh, what can I do for this solution? Or, you know, what can I do? So I'm using AI in my job role. I'm also in my personal time trying to understand what's happening with AI, how it's going to, you know, change the industries. You know, how can we skill up? What can we do? And that's my advice to people. Go start now and start skilling up, learning and understanding, you know, maybe having a little roadmap of where you want to go or what you want to do, and then start using all the resources out there to kind of like get you ahead. You know, so that's what I would say. That's the first port of call. Start to level up, skill up, go and look at all the information out there and absorb it, take notes, and then start deciding, okay, this is the route I want to go. This is what I want to learn, blah, 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 blah.
Great,
I don't
great,
know if you agree.
great. Yeah, I think the good news for everybody here and everybody that wants to get involved is that there's so much free information.
Yeah.
And AI is online, you know, chat GPT, there's a number of different ones you can look, different types, call it what you want, but it's all online. So really we've got it at our fingertips, provided we're willing to go for it. Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree. But in terms of from your data size, your data,
Mm.
what would you say? How is that going to drive us in the next? I mean, what impact is that going to have in the next say 5 years or next year these days?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying that obviously AI is driven by data. So, you know, if you're working in the data field, you're in a great industry, but you need to learn the tools. You need to learn about the tools that AI is going to use to actually, you know, manipulate that data. So there's different aspects of it, and it's still quite vast in terms of depending on which area you're going to look at or you're going to focus on. But AI is driven by data. So if you are in the data industry, i.e., you're, you know, within data for, you're a data analyst, you're a data engineer, your data, you know, your report writer, whatever, or data scientist, you're in the right career for AI, but you just got to understand where it's going with that and what you need to learn and to get ahead.
So what you're saying is if you don't understand data, then we don't control the narrative.
Exactly. Yeah,
So that's
I am.
quite deep. Oh wow. So let's bring Joe in. Joe, in the cybersecurity world, what do you think the impact of all this is going to be for you in the
Well,
cybersecurity world? And you know, talk about the online scams, the digital privacy, the importance of cyber awareness. You know, can you give us something on that?
yeah, I'm not only on, I've been teaching data analysis
Yeah, that's one.
for 10 years. Yeah. I started off delivering business analysis to professionals who are business analysts. And from then on, there was things I used to teach on business analysts at British Computer Society. Yeah, and there's a thing called system expert or business experts, and that was really some of the beginning. You know, under artificial intelligence is a long time. Let's not just focus on just purely um, um, artificial intelligence. The important part that Bosse brought out is that yes, um, the fundamental, the basics, the fundamental of artificial intelligence begins with data, queries, APIs, and things like that. I don't want to get too complicated. And also mathematics, probability regression, which you will learn when you're doing data analysis. When you're teaching data analysis, when you're doing data analysis and mathematical aspect of artificial intelligence. Bill Gates stated, and Elon Musk stated, the new coding they've been telling us and publishing for the past few years that, oh, you got to learn coding, you got to get into coding, you got to get into coding. But the new coding now is maths. We're going to do a degree, you need to have fundamental maths, statistics, probability. So let's not just focus just purely, and then the big part is, I did a research and I came up with on AI, using AI, and it was saying the big part you need to learn is maths, Python, yeah, cloud computing, especially cloud computing in terms of data analysis. Many companies, small and medium sized, are using cloud in order to manage their data. So it's not only just learning artificial intelligence, there's digital aspect to it and so forth. In just following what bosses say, yeah, you do need to know AI. You only lose your job if you don't use artificial intelligence with what you do already. But you can't purely depend on artificial intelligence to do your work. You need to know the fundamentals. Say, for example, you're a programmer, you must know the fundamental programming in order to use artificial intelligence. If you're an administrator, you need to have good advanced knowledge of business administration and use artificial intelligence. From that point of view, you will only lose your job. Your job will only be in danger if you don't integrate artificial intelligence in what you do. Yeah. So from that point of view, and from a cybersecurity, yes, I'm also in cybersecurity. I deliver cybersecurity and data analysis to adults. Yeah. Cybersecurity is so important because it has major implication in terms of artificial intelligence and voice recognition, social engineering, where people are able to mimic people's voice, images, and put it online and fake your identity in order to open a bank, in order to get money from friends and family. So that's another aspect. That's what I'm writing. The most crime being created online in terms of technology is social engineering, because in some aspects you don't need to have expert technology in order to do social engineering. You can't social engineering is so powerful now that it's not easy, like last year or 2 years ago, to recognize social engineering email. Now, with artificial intelligence, it's perfect. The images is perfect, the content is perfect, there's no spelling errors, so they can easily fool. So cybersecurity has now become quite powerful. So that's my view on moving on, and also looking at the future. You know, what are companies? I did a research on what are companies want in terms of projects, and these are things like Python, cloud, cybersecurity, and these are the things we need to look at and train ourselves and upskill. It's easy to skill ourselves now with artificial intelligence, to get training in program, to get training in almost anything. It's almost near enough impossible for you not to learn anything on the internet. So that's my view in further this discussion.
All right.
Can
Thank
I
you
just
for,
say,
yeah.
Joe raised some really, really good points that got me thinking because I think it's important to go and understand already how AI is disrupting industries like the medical industry, the legal industry, even the IT industry, in terms of organizations that are restructuring their employee infrastructure. That that Sky's, there's lots of companies out there that have actually made people redundant because they're reimagining the new workplace and the employee structure. So that's a really good thing. Go and have a look at how AI is already disrupting industries, and I was watching something on YouTube, and it was the VP of Okta, and Okta's used in a lot of companies, and they were talking about cybersecurity threats. And as Joe mentioned, it just got me thinking. He was saying they're going to have to try and control all these agents that the companies want to employ to make sure no fake identity, gets into these systems easily, because they're employing a lot of automation tools, and that involves AI agents and things like that. So they need a good sort of like infrastructure, cybersecurity infrastructure that manages all these different agents that you give access to do the automate all these functions that you want done throughout your organization. So I feel like there's lots of opportunity here for people to upskill and learn how to use AI in these different aspects of different industries of AI.
Right. I mean, that's great. I mean, there's a lot of information there. Boss has given some information, Joe's given some information. I mean, obviously, my field is vast. I've talked about being blockchain and talk about AI, but for me, it's like listening carefully. It's great and it's very worrying because remember, we're talking about are we prepared in our community for what's about to happen? And, are we positioned in the right place for to take advantage of what's going to happen? Are we going to be casualties of what's about to happen? And what is about to happen, as Bossa says, and Joe's mentioned also, is the restructuring. What the companies are doing right now, how they're having to reshape everything, redefine everything. Joe mentioned you're not going to lose your job to AI, but if you don't know AI, then you could be a victim, you could be a casualty. And when we talk about the Black community, and I look at the education and what we're pursuing, I think we are in a bit of a tricky situation right now. Because when you look at automation, when you look at AI automation was here before AI. We had automation, but it wasn't intelligent automation. So what happens is before the first industrial revolution, we used to have before the first industrial revolution, we used to have people that used to put cars together, yeah, and put engines in cars, put doors on cars, screw them, bolt them, and everything else. And then we used to have farmers in the farm. We used to have people in the farm picking plants, picking up all of this crops and so on and so forth. And then lots of people were doing that. And then tractors came along, didn't they? Tractors came along, and then we didn't need so many people going on. So every industrial revolution, there are going to be casualties in terms of people that used to do that job that are no longer required. But then also in an industrial revolution like this one, which is a massive one, there will be new jobs created. And those are the ones we're talking about, the new jobs created, which are now what we're saying about is, are we positioned well to take those new jobs that are coming, those new opportunities that are coming also. So for me, from the point, and then listening to Joe, which is scary again, yeah, because he says something about you have to be good at maths. Now, we know we know the biggest problem that children have in schools and university is maths, and in some case English. Yeah, maths and English is usually the problem we have in schools. I actually train. I give my time in the college, train on emerging technologies in the college, and I know one of the biggest challenges we have is English and maths. They might get geography, they might get biology, they might get this one, but English and maths is the biggest problem we have because usually it's one that we have to work on them while they're doing the course. Now, English, Joe says maths, but I also believe right now that it's not just maths, it's also English. Because when you're communicating, Joe's talking about more of the technical side of AI, where you're talking about machine learning, yeah? And also Bosse is talking about data, in terms of that's data science. But then there's also the other side of it, where you're now putting prompts in, prompt engineering. And if your English is not good and you don't know how to structure your prompts, that means your English, you can't put just anything there and get what you want out. Yeah. So really, for me, the key things our children and people need right now are English, good English, and being able to structure it well so that you can actually give the right prompts right to the AI system you're using. Whether you're doing, at the moment, we're talking about coders are no longer required because you have vibe coding. Now, I use vibe coding now, yeah, and I know the challenges with vibe coding because AI, I've noticed, likes to lie a lot. That's one thing that we haven't covered. AI lies, and it lies when it wants you to feel happy. So when you work AI hard enough, it starts lying to you. It says, yes, I've done it. I've checked everything. Then I put it through my system and I say, AI, why is this happening? Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you that this is not production mode. This is placement. And it's now like, remember, AI is learning from the humans, the patterns from the humans. Humans lie. So guess what? AI is now a better liar. So I believe that this thing, and in terms of Africa, because we're talking about Black community, minorities, in terms of Africa, are we ready in Africa? One of the biggest problems we have in Africa is power. When I say power, I'm talking about electricity. I mean, I just don't understand. Is there something going wrong with us in Africa? I saw an amazing boat race in Lagos. But we can't even put power in all the houses in Lagos. So we had a speedboat race where they used lots of power, electric, I think it was electric speedboat race. It wasn't even it wasn't even a petrol speedboat, it was an electric one. We're powering electric exhibition boat race, but we can't power the houses. So how are these? We have one of the youngest populations in the world in Africa. We have those people could be an asset, the biggest asset. People talk about assets in Africa as oil, gold, silver, absolute rubbish. In this day and age, the asset we have are the young people with young minds that are ready to go for it. And I believe that, you know what? Are we pitched ready? I'm going to put it to you and Joe, because we can talk all this technical tech. But listen, the people that are not ready won't understand what you are talking about. Yeah? People that aren't ready, yeah, they need firstly their maths and their English. And they need to do it well. For the English, it's for the more the high-end stuff, isn't it? For the maths, it's more the low-end stuff. Now, blockchain. Oh my God, blockchain. Listen, the centralized world is just going crazy. The bank is centralized. The government is centralized. They want control of everything. Yeah? So guess what happens? The banks know that they are no longer required in the future. But you know what the banks are doing now? They're creating a future for themselves. How they're creating a future for themselves is to take care of your decentralized assets and say, we will now take care of you. What we used to call a scam, what we used to call was dangerous. No. We will take care of it, because if we don't take care of it, yeah, we will no longer have a bank anymore. So now they are going to make a bank from a decentralized. So this is going crazy. At the moment, there's a big exhibition, not big exhibition, an exhibition in London, which is a London blockchain. Yeah, I'm hoping I'll be able to attend it, but I'm not sure whether I'll get the time to do it. But it's got the big boys are there. Go and look at the labels on there. Amazon is there. AWS is there. This is blockchain, decentralized. Africa requires blockchain in a big way because blockchain doesn't need big servers. Yeah, it doesn't need it. It just needs nodes everywhere. And a number of things. So I'm going to talk. I'll talk forever, but I'm going to put everything I've said. I'm going to put it back to Bosse first, and then Joe.